You are watching Omnis Protocol, and this is a list focus. I am Charles, also known as Omnis, and I'm here with Dyzard. Pretty sure it's Dyzard.
I'm here.
The legend, the rogue support, legendary encounter.
I saw yours in the back, and I was like, it'd be a shame if I didn't at least show mine once.
Oh, I didn't even click to me that was your Sarah Cruel art.
Yeah.
But yeah. I specifically changed around my background like a week ago to make it so that that art was specifically showing up like more fully in frame.
Once things get settled in, move again. I'm hoping to have a nice backdrop where I can actually display it, because I honestly, it's like one of the greatest things that anybody's ever given me, and
yeah, it's pretty epic.
Yeah, I love it.
But we are not just talking art, but we are talking Darth Maul, which is why the Darth Maul shirt is on, because we are focusing on Armorer Box, so Armorer Paz and the Covert Mandalorians with Darth Maul, Bo-Katan, Clan Kryze. And I was so excited that we were going to do this list together, because there was a lot of people who have tried Darth Maul with armor and have liked it, but I feel like you are probably the person who is, at least in my experience, talked about this list the most. So why don't you give us kind of a rough rundown? Like, what is it that you like so much about this combination?
Well, do you like a list that is very versatile and can give you what you need with any draw? Do you like that? I think anybody would like that, because
yes.
There really isn't a dead draw on this list. Some people would argue Paz can be a dead draw, but it's like, what are you trying to get out of Paz? And you can get work out of Paz. Don't listen to the naysayers. Paz is great, but I just feel like this list is just like one of the good jack of all trades lists that you can't really want more out of it besides making it more focused in a certain direction. At that point, it loses its luster for what it does.
I will say, when you were pitching this very heavily, and I was like, but I want to play Din, which was always my personal pushback.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did try it, I had a blast playing this list. And my first time playing this list is probably up there in like my top 5 favorite games of Shatterpoint. And I got to... Darth Maul had been wounded twice. I put him into reserve, and then I hit an activation, and I was like, if Darth Maul can activate and kill Grievous, rolling like 16 dice or something, I could win the game on a Darth Maul activation as he's leaving the table. And it all worked out. I think Grievous had like a couple points of damage on him or something, but it was such an epic closing. It was a blast. And so that list warmed up to me very quickly.
Well, it's very much like, to specify for those who have not ran this, you have tankiness, you have control, you have revenge, and you have aggro. And like, you literally have all these pieces in a list, and it's all good. Like, you're saying Maul can go and take Grievous out when he's down a couple wounds. Maul can do what, 11 damage if he spikes?
Yep.
Like that. I mean, that can.
Is it even a spike if you're rolling 16 dice?
I mean, that's also true. Yeah. Like, you have everything you could ask for, and I just every time I try to stray away from this list, it just weasels its way back into my premiere, because it's too easy to slot in. Like, it really is.
It feels very jack of all trades. Like, it's not master of anything, but this feels like a list that, like, if a listener or watcher was like, hey, I want to go to a showdown event, right? And they only can bring one strike team. This feels like a very solid choice for that, because it doesn't have very many like really, really bad matchups. It doesn't have really, really great matchups. It's just kind of solid, and it will just give you a reasonable chance to win almost any game.
Yeah, exactly.
So first off, what mission would you play with this? Do you have a preference, or does it vary at all?
I think this, because there was a long while, I know you heard me talk about this quite a bit, because we would talk about this quite a bit, that this might struggle on Never Tell Me, but I don't think it does. Like, as far as like this list struggling on any one mission, it is one of the most mission agnostic lists because you have so much mobility. You don't care about terrain because you got Mandos. That's like the glory of Mandos, right? You don't care about ladder placements because you don't need them. You have the Force efficiency because you have Maul and armor saying, I don't go up in tax. So it's like you don't care about terrain. You don't care about how far stuff is away because everybody has extra movement. Everybody except for Paz, but there's movement there for him. So I would say this is one of those lists that doesn't really care. So when I come to that mindset, I'm taking first contact with this because I'm going to force people on first contact.
Interesting. I am glad that you brought up the interaction between like Darth Maul and this list, right? Because that's one of the things with Armorer is that her list can feel very force tight. Right? Mm-hmm. Where you may not have a force to reserve in some armorer lists, or you just can't quite use Paz's cool stuff often enough. Or if you do, you then sacrifice getting into objective later on. Darth Maul kind of solves that. So this ends up being one of the most consistent force lists in the game because Darth Maul can be a 0 force activation, right? And then you have 5 force for the other spots, and armor can be 0, and your force costs just don't really go up at all.
Yeah. With Maul armor, you can pay for everything, including your Shatterpoint turn, and you can afford reserve. Like,
yeah, it gives you a lot of options. And if you end up with one of those games where you don't need Maul's, cutting himself for force, right? You don't have to, so you get that kind of flexibility. And so that's one of the things I definitely really like about this. So do you feel like this list has any like actually bad matchups or something that's significant enough where you're like, I would want to make sure that the other half of my premiere could play into that particular situation?
I don't know how to answer this one because I feel like every GT that I wanted to take this list to, I talked myself out of it. And that was the wrong answer. I talked myself.
Well, let's dig into that for a second then. Let's do sub question. Mm-hmm. What talked you out of it? Was it just community negativity kind of brought you down on it overall? It's a little bit of self-doubt. What made you doubt this list when you were going to GTs?
I was afraid that it couldn't handle aggro, and we were in a very aggro state because I'm not going to Nova and all this stuff, and it was like, well, Maul can kind of just get ran over. I was playing games where Maul was getting removed from the table in Struggle 2. And I was like, this sucks. This really hurts. And I don't know if I want to risk this. And it really just came to after Nova and reevaluating things. This list can play into aggro. That's why you have Paz. Because you just go put Paz on a point, put him forward, and you're just like, cool, come hit me. Like I want you to. It's not as revengey as a Mando list would be, and I do think you kind of want the other side to be your counter aggro. But if you have to play this into aggro, you can. It's just you have to change how you're playing. It's more of a altering your mind state and your play style of the list to adapt to the opponent's list than it is the list can't play into it. It can. It's just you have to change how you're playing.
I think you brought up something really interesting there that I hadn't considered until we were just recording right this moment, that we are in a very aggro heavy meta, recording this in December of 2025. And stuff dies, right? I just played a game 2 weeks ago. We had 19 total wounds, like this, we are just playing kind of a very like wound focused game at the moment. But it can be really important for lists to have a character you really want to Shatterpoint, and you get a lot of benefit from Shatterpointing, that is unlikely to get wounded in Struggle 1. And this list does definitely at least have 2 of those, right? You've got Armor. She is not likely to get wounded. She certainly can, but that's not going to be common. That's 1 out of 5 or less games she's going to get wounded, too quickly. Paz also reasonably unlikely to get wounded. And then sometimes even Bo-Katan can just be tanky enough that you could activate her and then still conceivably Shatterpoint her before she gets wounded. And so that you're not in the position of having a character potentially leaving the table in struggle 2, because that is kind of commonplace right now. Like, that's not crazy. And so I do think that's a value of this that is maybe not immediately apparent on the surface. So I'm really glad that you kind of were dancing around that.
I think where this list can perform very well into the aggro list is this is one of the most pressure heavy lists if we talk about, like, because you remember back in War Machine, like, pressure lists, right?
Yeah.
So when we think about pressure in Shatterpoint, how do you pressure? Well, you overwhelm and control with your stuff that's going to die, like, I don't know, Clan Kryze. So you have so many activations that are just so threatening to your opponent that have so much reach. Maul can shoot across the board. Armor can shoot across the board. Bo can shoot across the board. Covert and Clan Kryze can get halfway out the board and then shoot across the board. So all of these activations are so threatening to your opponent that this is very much a threat overload, and that's how you keep Maul alive. Is you say, who do you want to kill? Who do you want to go into? Do you want to deal with
only
armor?
have so many activations.
Yeah, so you apply pressure in certain ways, and that's how this list can play the aggro game.
So let's talk about the 2 supports for a moment, right? Because there obviously is some decision making here,
yes.
Right? You could flex this a couple different directions. Covert's probably the easier part of this. We're at a point where coverts are top 5. Like, as long as you're playing armorer, they're top 5 supports in the game. They hang with the best of them. They're just really effective overall. But the Clan Kryze, some people want to go, the Mandalorians, the Mandalorian super commandos. But Clan Kryze, while 1 less hit point, have a really fantastic tree. How did you decide which one of those to play in this particular version?
So I think I think we have to back up and go to secondaries first, kind of. Because I think right now is a state of game where Paz makes a lot of sense. You can utilize Paz in certain ways to where you're saying, again, come get me, come get my point, and your opponent doesn't want to because they don't want to deal with Paz. Paz is a very good deterrent. So once I came across, I want to be playing Paz with this list. He's very good right now, and I don't care that he's slow and he can't move himself. I don't really need to. I have ways to move him. I got armor. Oh, and then I take Bo because Bo can move Paz. But I know before we were talking, and you're taking coverts, and then you're locked into, what's my other support going to be? We got Clan Kryze. You got Supermandos. Okay. Clan Kryze are only good if you're taking Bo. If you're taking Clan Kryze, you're taking Bo. I don't care what anybody says because they have 7 health and they need that protection steadfast from Bo. I don't think they can play in the current state of the game without it. I really don't.
Well, I'm gonna hard disagree with you there. I think Clan Kryze are good enough that Bo is not a requirement, but I think I like Clan Kryze a lot. Their tree is so good. So I'm not like begrudging you taking them. I think that's absolutely the right call in my very humble Darth Maul loving opinion. I think they're great. They're 2 supports that are going to put a lot of pressure on people. You got access to pins and strains right where you kind of need them. And that's really big in this Cassian meta, right? Being able to pin stuff to keep them from just easily being able to move back on. And so I like the selection.
Yep.
So let's kick it back to the secondaries for a second, because you were like, I do want to play Paz, which is always some interesting discussion with this list, right? Do you run Gar Saxon and Bo-Katan? Putting Bo-Katan under armor is valid. You could play Gar Saxon over Bo-Katan, which I think, is a little underrated. Range 5, ignoring cover, depending on how much Obi-Wan and stuff you have. But steadfast and protection's very good. And she zooms, and we're in a meta where healing really matters. And she's definitely a character that can put out some healing. Was there anything that in particular stood out to you as to choosing Bo-Katan or Gar Saxon? Was it just the interaction because you wanted to play Clan Kryze, and so you thought the bubble, helped them? Or was there something else about Bo-Katan's kit that helped kind of, overshadow Gar a little bit?
I think coming back to overall list of what Armor and Maul are doing, you kind of want the utility that Bo is bringing more than you want the sniping that Gar is doing. Gar is not a utility piece. Gar is a killer, and Gar is only a killer if you can roll average or better. If you have less than average dice once with Gar, he feels like a sack of potatoes. I love Gar. However, there are so many games I've played where it's like, well, Gar, you got one success 3 times. That sucks. Like it doesn't feel good. Because I know you said it before. You're like, I can't play Gar because he doesn't do anything for me. And
I've definitely felt like I had some bad dice with Gar in the beginning. Like Gar Saxon just was not rolling well, and I had nothing wrong with like his pool or his amount of dice.
He gets 9
I will
dice.
say, whenever you get him into melee and they're engaged with another Mando and he's rolling the 10 dice, that attack always just seems bonkers. Like always, like way outperforms the 9-day. But either way,
it does come back to, do I want something that is dice reliant on how it feels good, or do I want something that's going to feel good across the entire game because it just does stuff by existing? And that's Bo. Bo just exists and stuff happens.
She's all, like very fast. Like she can get to points that people often are not expecting. Her ability to make so many move actions in this particular turn is quite good. All right, I want to go back to your primaries for a moment, because I think an underrated aspect of this is that we are seeing more and more things where there's just like really powerful defensive expertise. That could be, Kanan having defensive dashes, right? Could just be Mando's really solid defense dice, right? All of these things. And having both of your primaries be able to basically expose on demand is such a powerful tool. Is there anything that you want to share with the listeners or watchers about like how this kind of plays into the overall strength of the list?
It goes back to that whole pressure aspect I was mentioning earlier. You're not safe.
you are not.
Like Armor and Maul both have the range to be drawn and attack you on your home point in deployment. They both can do it. All you need for Armor, needs a good ladder. Maul can just do it because he's got a range attack. But Armor can do it if there's a ladder placement that lines up just right. So pay attention to your train for Armor. But anyways, it very much is like you just say, hey, I don't care if you have God expertise because you're just banking on 5 dice. And you know what happens when Maul's rolling into 5 dice with expertise against you? Maul's probably going to hurt you, and he's going to touch you in the spot and make you feel bad. He's so much fun to play. There are some people, I still get messages to this day where people message me like, I finally picked up Maul. I need help.
He's not intuitive. Like, he is very good, but intuitive is not his strength.
No. I remember when we first got into the game, and I was all in on Maul. And
you were. You have been on the Maul train from the beginning. I was wrong on my anti-Maul takes early on. That was a skill issue that I have hopefully corrected.
But I just come back to, you're not safe. It's that easy.
And it's something where it throws people off, because they're used to models just being a little bit tankier. And think about like Darth Maul opposing like a 7 Scorch, right? They get steadfast and protection when they're contesting an objective. If he yanks them off the objective and exposes them, they're losing the steadfast and protection, and then they're losing their good defensive dice, right? Yes. Like, you exacerbate issues very quickly.
It's been the trick since the beginning of the game, because he would do it to Clan Kryze. You pull them off the point, and they don't get both protection no more. And that's a tale as old as time.
But overall, I love this list. You definitely sold me on it. It's one that I think anyone could go out and play. It's a cool showdown list. Also compare with a lot of different things. Doesn't take models from a lot of different lists, right? And so you have a lot of flexibility in the other half of your premiere. But do you have any closing thoughts on this that you just wanted to get out while we're in the episode that you just think are important?
I think it is worth saying when it comes to Maul. Maul's win rate is abysmal right now. When you look at Longshanks and any kind of things, don't pay attention to that. Go play Maul. Go have fun with Maul. I will tell you what Maul does.
I was just talking to Veers. He has the worst win rate. So
I think Maul, he got into a really weird spot for me to where I was like, my criteria for Maul was, do I go with Maul? Okay, I draw Maul. And can Maul affect 2 or more points? If Maul can affect 2 or more points, I go with Maul. There were a lot of games where I was like, I can't affect 2 or more points with him. And it felt really weird. And I was like, what am I doing differently? And I was just buying into what's the opposite of hype? Shit talk, I guess. To where it's just like, I let myself believe that he was bad. And then he just performed bad for me. As soon as I was like, wait, Maul's still good. Maul is still Maul. And just played the games and enjoyed them. Maul can still affect 2 or more points on his turn most of the time. And if you get that, that is a big swing. When we look at the game at Shatterpoint, tell me how many primaries can do that. Most of the time nowadays, it's your supports that are doing that type of thing.
And I think that's a good shout. Like, again, a thing that I didn't really think about. Maul definitely wants characters to get onto objectives, right? And then not actually get shoved off of the objective. They want him like ganged up on to outscore so that he can influence the point, right? Mm-hmm. And both Bo-Katan and Paz kind of fit that bill, where they're likely to be on an objective, even if it's not being scored by you in the moment. So his ability to just shove someone off of the point and then go out, he doesn't need to stand on it to take it, because Bo-Katan or Paz may still be there. Or they got, moved back on the point by Armorer or something. Yeah. So
and Maul's play pattern, for those who have not played Maul, move, pull somebody off of a point that one of your other people are contesting that you get to take now. Throw your lightsaber at something and get 3 down the tree for that sweet, sweet repo. And that's all you need. And now you push them off and get on their point. Like, boom, you just profit. 2 points. Maul wins.
Yep, I love it. I think it's a fantastic list. I'm glad you wanted to talk about this one. I'm excited for this to get out to everyone. So thank you so much for recording this with me. And, make sure that you all check out Rogue Support. You got to support the legendary Dyzard. Been supporting Shatterpoint from day one. So thank you for that.
Ooh, you too. We were there from the beginning. All right. Before it came out.
I had a whole fake Shatterpoint set, but we'll close things out there. Try out Maul and Armorer. It is officially Dyzard, stamp of approval. Rogue Support, stamp of approval. Bring it to a GT. You should do it. Later, nerds.
Do it.